Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey, welcome back to Blamestorming. I am Dave Cyrus. With me, as always, is Marissa Smith. Say hello, Marissa.
Yeah. Hello.
We've got James Pontillo. Make a noise.
What's going on?
And we've got Joel Wolkowski.
Hello, how we doing? Joe Walkowski, the Motor City Motor Mouth, coming at you.
We're sitting very well together.
Coming at you live.
All right, we are radio out the ass today. How we doing, guys? We're doing part 2. We're going to talk about the news, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are. I think we left off on police reform.
We were talking about police reform. Always a fun topic. I think it should happen. What's your hot takes, guys?
I'm pro reform.
Okay, Joel, take the opposite.
No, I think the cops are fine, and I think they should have a gun in each hand.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your ideas of how we can reform?
I'm glad you asked. Here's what I think we need to do. I think we should really figure out a way of getting non-lethal weapons that everyone can just shoot each other with to their heart's content and nobody dies.
What about
like water guns?
Well, this sounds. I mean,
like
is
fire
my thing
hoses.
on? Hold on.
Yeah, I hear you fine. When has a police officer ever misused a fire hose, Marissa?
Well, what about even a tranquilizer gun that puts someone unconscious and they
takes
don't die?
too long. That's why they had to kill that ape.
You had the taser story, and it seems like the cops can put someone down without lasting harm, and then still get their adrenaline rush. So that could work.
Right. That guy seemed to love tasing that guy.
Yeah, I mean, when we plan these weapons,
and you go right down with the taser, right? You don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I once saw a guy fight a bus in Los Angeles on PCP. He stopped traffic all directions. No, it was not Rodney King. That was an innocent man. But this guy taser dropped him like nothing.
Yeah, no, taser puts you. I mean, of course, there's issues with heart problems. I mean, I just see when you see movies and future shit. There's always so many different ideas of how to put somebody down. I mean, Thor. They didn't have to shoot him, and he's Thor, and they were able to lock him down and put him in a chair and keep him there, and he's the god of thunder. So obviously, we can calm down some crackheads.
Well, I think that choice of weapons is definitely important, but to me, I think that the two major problems with the police are, one, that we have ex-military, too many ex-military that are the police, and because when they come back home, they get extra points on the tests. So most of our police force has PTSD. And I don't think that if you're in the military that you should be the police, because when you're in that mindset of war where it's an us versus them mentality, when they come home, the them is the American people and the us are just the police force. So they already are treating you like you're an enemy combatant just because that's just the mind of warfare. Yeah. The other thing that I think is that the education level is too low. I think that most smart people that are interested in criminal justice go into the FBI, the CIA, and I think that we should have a minimum level of courses that they should be taking, and it shouldn't just be 2-year college. I think they need to take more psychology, more sociology.
Yeah, I agree.
And
it should be a job you aspire to more.
Yeah,
not a job you settle for.
Well, I think that a lot of them do aspire to it, but I think the problem is that the people that are aspiring to be cops are the class bully or the kid who's bullied
the most.
Yeah. So that's it. The one that is just always bullied everyone their entire life, or the one that's something, when I get a gun and I become a cop, I'm going to arrest all of you.
If you want to be a cop, they should have to watch you without you knowing in traffic and see how you react to getting cut off. See how you react to a blind intersection.
Hey, can you call a black friend? And I do think right now, the war on drugs followed by the for-profit prison system, the police solution to any problem in a community is to take someone out of that community. And I think that's kind of a archaic and non-productive idea. Coming from Detroit, people think Detroit's a shithole, but
it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it got a lot better, right?
Yeah, but Detroit got hit so hard by the war on drugs that at a certain point in time, 1 out of every 4 black men in the city were in prison due to these laws. So, that's going to wreck a community, and that's going to raise tensions on both sides, both police and community.
Right.
And another big problem that I've heard, a solution people have is, well, we need community policing. We need people from these communities.
Yeah, that's what George Zimmerman did.
To police. Well, he wasn't qualified.
But I'm saying, that's what could happen.
The policemen that people would say should be from the community they're policing.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with that. It sounds like a great idea, right? That the cop on the beat is a guy who grew up here. He knows these people. Here's the problem. That is discrimination. Because that means
if you don't like someone,
that means the black police officers have the more dangerous routes.
Yeah.
That's why you can't do that. Because if all the black neighborhoods, the people were from there, it means a white police officer is in lily white neighborhoods where he's not in danger. And then that becomes a discrimination issue because it means black police officers will be in more danger, and you can't have that either.
Yeah.
So we're
a
really
way
screwed.
that you could really kind of kind of tweak that idea a bit is that if you had police officers that are assigned to a particular precinct or beat, then have, affordable housing available to them in that particular precinct or beat, so that it doesn't matter where they originally came from, but once they find a permanent precinct that they're at, that they would have to relocate to be within that vicinity.
That sounds like a good idea, except when all the criminals find out where the cop lives.
They already know, though.
I would assume that's not as big a deal.
I mean,
I
Google.
I like that.
And you also when you see a police officer, you see them in between jobs. They're just on their phone in their car. If they didn't have a car, they would be forced to engage with their community a little bit more. If you're going to police a beat, be out there on the streets interacting with people.
Nothing but bicycle cops. All bicycles.
It's the car. That's the problem.
You get a basket big enough for somebody to sit in if you arrest them, but it's going to really fix things up.
And instead of guns, slingshots.
Yeah.
No, look, if we had foam guns and all that stuff, think about how weird it would be. I wonder how it would psychologically affect cops and gun nuts if suddenly all the weapons were non-lethal. Would they be some people would be mad. They would miss the sense of power, you know, the crazy ones.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I think a lot of cops would just be oh, thank God I would not have to worry about going to jail if I do the wrong thing.
Well, a high percentage of cops never draw.
Yeah, that's true.
They've never needed to draw ever.
Pussies.
But speaking of pussies, so I have a friend that's a shrink, and they had a client that was a cop, and they were going to retire soon, and he started getting afraid that he was going to be killed or shot before his retirement.
Oh, retiree, they call it. Yes.
Yeah.
So he would go and post up in a hotel room in between calls because he didn't want to be in his car. And when he'd get a call for something, then he'd go back to the car and go to whatever call he got, and then go back to the hotel room and just nest out in a hotel.
Well, I'm
until
glad
he retired.
he's walking around with a gun. I'm glad that guy is patrolling the streets, thinking that he has to be superstitious about dying before his retirement.
I just want to see that version of Lost in Translation.
I never saw that, so I don't know.
It's just a sad old guy in a hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is it? I never saw it either.
Why'd you laugh?
Because I know it's funny. I can just tell.
Thanks, James.
Boy.
So let's see here.
Yeah, we there was other. What was that other?
Is that an
story?
OkCupid app you have?
Oh, the detained
I
children.
do have an OK.
Oh yeah,
Cupid
yeah,
app.
the detained children. And
how their government lost 1,500 children.
Well, the thing is, that story is a little bit different than we're interpreting it. What it is that the 1,500 children we lost track of are simply that once, and these are children who were unaccompanied coming into the United States previous to the new administration separating women from children. So what happened was 1,500 minors who came in without someone, they found either foster or family or someone to leave them with, and then lost track of them. But here's the thing, to be perfectly fair, because I'm not a defender of our immigration policies or this administration, but a lot of those children they lost track of because those children don't want to be deported.
Yeah.
So those were children who were contacted by deportation authorities.
Yeah.
So the idea that they can't get a hold of them makes a lot more sense when you remember a lot of these children who are actively trying to not get deported, or that they're just not answering the phone because they didn't really try.
Does an 8-year-old like have the capability of like
the family they're with is probably trying to prevent them from getting deported too.
Yeah.
Right, but I feel like that's
relatives.
I mean, that's really ICE's job to be able to find them, not the kid's job to be found.
Well, I agree that ISIS does have a place in the world. I don't think they should be working our immigration.
Huh.
Oh,
ICE.
Sorry. Thank you.
But you said ICE with an S, so it sounded like ISIS.
My mistake.
I was confused for a second, too.
Grammatically, that was a perfect joke. But no, I mean, and the thing that people don't misunderstand is those are not the same children who have been separated from their parents. Yeah. These are children who came unaccompanied before this policy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's important to remember some of these children now that are being separated from their parents, sometimes when they didn't even commit a crime, sometimes they're legally applying for citizenship or asylum, and they're still getting arrested, which is very fucked up. Yeah. Just like that caravan was the caravan of immigrants are coming. And it's like, yeah, those women and children seeking legal asylum must be really keeping you up at night, Donald. Those children now are being put into the same system. Yeah. And what they're saying is it's not that they lost track of them, it's that they weren't trying to keep track of them.
Yeah.
That's the defense. That they're like, well, once we send them to a family, we're pretty much done with them. But like I said, a lot of those children, if they answer that phone, could get sent back to Mexico or Honduras or whatever. So I can understand why they're actively avoiding being found.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're trying to avoid being found. I think that they're kids and they're like, if they're sent to like some like great aunt's house in like Oklahoma, they don't know that like, oh, like someone's trying to find me.
In all seriousness, though, if you had a nephew who came here from a country that they desperately needed to leave, and you're getting a phone call that says, this is the immigration service following up.
Yeah.
A lot of families are not answering that phone call.
Yeah.
Well,
I get that.
There's also like some people that think that it's possible that some of these kids have been like turned over to traffickers.
Well, it is possible. But that's possible with, anyone. Any kid that isn't being taken care of, which is a lot of kids in this country. No, we should be investigating that. But the idea is what they're saying is it's simply a phone call. It's not like they tracked these kids down. They contacted the foster families, and 1,500.
They just can't. Yeah,
1,500. They did not get in touch with them, and it's more incompetence than callousness.
Yeah,
it's more that they're not really keeping up on where these kids go.
If these kids were from Sweden, they would know where they all were.
Sweden, where it's better. They'd still be in Sweden. Why would they come here? What possible reason would they have, unless they're pop stars, to come here?
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's not like they should be let off the hook for this, but I do think that first, everyone confused it with the kids who were separated from their families.
Yeah.
But then it was the idea that they're just like, we let them live with their relatives or foster families. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have done more to know where they are, but the term lost is a little misleading there, because I am under the impression that some of them don't want to be. They just don't want to return that call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like going back through immigration history, like if you ask 1830s Ellis Island, where are these 1,500 kids now? Like they wouldn't have any idea.
Right.
So like the idea when you come to this country, you're on your own, and like these kids are doing their best.
I kind of like the idea that they're on one hand, I like the idea they lost track of these kids because they're not deporting them.
And if you want to play devil's advocate, I mean, even under Obama, I think it was something like 2 million immigrants were deported. So it's not like we just started deporting people when Trump became president.
That's true.
It's just more of a crackdown now.
What's so sad about it is that
it's just we've always
Republicans, because they hate Obama and they hate liberals, refuse to even acknowledge the idea that Obama was already treating immigrants the way you want them to.
Yeah.
The way that the right wanted immigrants treated is exactly what Obama was doing. Obama was the deporter in chief.
Yeah.
He was deporting. He was giving the Republicans a fucking olive branch of being strong on illegal immigration, and it gave him nothing in return.
And that was his mistake.
They don't give a shit about how much you give them, no matter what. It's like I've heard the reference be like, Republicans are the girl that you think you can keep being nice to, and she'll eventually be nice, and she never fucking will.
Yeah,
it is pathetic the way that we try to give these olive branches. They don't give anything in return.
Yeah,
it's the
Well,
immigration.
they gave us Trump.
The immigration fever Well, they didn't give us anything good. The immigration fever that Republicans have is so emotionally dishonest. It is entirely based on a hatred of brown people because what it's based around is no number of deportations will ever be enough if I see one Mexican at a supermarket.
Yeah.
That's where these people really come from. Fuck.
Yes.
Are you angry enough, Dave?
No, because, I mean, when I'm calm, it's not entertaining.
It's true.
So I need to...
I know. I'm always worried that I should carry aspirin with me just in case you stroke out one day.
A lot of strokes in my family. I really should pay attention to that. But that's why I got the spinach.
You should be taking baby aspirins. I do worry about that because you get this little twitchy vein. I'm like, it's coming. It's coming.
No, that's just a vascular thing. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of strokes in my family. Should I do something about that? Is there anything you do about that?
Yeah.
Do you do something about strokes?
I think the spinach is taking care of
because
it.
that's for heart stuff though. Does that help?
I think you don't keep a toaster so that way if you smell toast, you know.
That's right. That's how you know. I feel like knowing my life, I feel like I'm gonna ease really well into my post-stroke life.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already erratic and I like not moving.
So people have been having strokes forever. Do you think you always smelled that when you had a stroke, and then the first time toast was made, it was like, oh fuck?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
That's a good question. I guess did you think they always smelled burning something?
Yeah, it was always burning toast, and they didn't know what toast was.
Huh, that's a good question. They were probably then some stroke victim the day they first started making toast, which is like, oh my god,
Yeah, it's happening again.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a roast joke about that yet. Something about burning toast and having a stroke. I feel like we can definitely make it happen.
Yeah, but people aren't doing roast battle after they have strokes.
I wish they would. It would open up a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
I would give anything for someone to be the post-stroke com. I mean, think about how many jokes Chris Crespo gets.
Yeah.
Imagine having half your face sliding off and all the hilarity you could get out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the masturbation jokes alone would be 3 rounds.
I mean, when I think about how much Opie and Anthony talked about Dick Clark back in those days.
Oh man,
Dick Clark. What do you remember? Was he had the stroke and then he continued to do the New Year's Rockin' Eve.
but it wasn't rockin'.
He made every New Year so depressing though. It's just why?
I mean,
he needs to retire.
It was one of those.
I mean, it was the one day a year he worked, so he probably.
And they still did that world's oldest teenager gimmick after he had a stroke.
Yeah, it would always talk about how young he looks, and then he stopped being able to move. And he still looks great, doesn't he? Well, yes, he can't make facial expressions anymore, so there's no real lines to build up. The poor bastard. And he also died kind of young for a guy who was
he was still a teenager.
He was, yeah. He died young for a guy who had been known for years as looking incredibly young.
How old was he? 70 something?
Yeah, I don't think he was that. Yeah, he was in his 70s maybe.
Who does New Year's Rockin' Eve now?
Seacrest. Oh, it was Carson?
Well, every major network does it
right,
now.
Right.
Yeah.
But I believe, was Seacrest the one who specifically replaced him, or was that Carson? Don't you guys watch the ball drop every New Year's at 11:59? What else is there to do on New Year's?
It's just me, Carson Daly, and a bag of Molly. Happy New Year.
I hope someone's doing that. I mean, there's definitely people. I definitely know the kind of person. I'm not going to say who he is because he'll get mad. He might listen. But I definitely know the kind of person who on New Year's Eve just gets a bunch of Coke and just sits alone at home and has a private party.
Do I know this person?
No.
Damn.
I'm going to start the new year with an extremely clean apartment.
I really wish I could just do meth for 2 weeks.
Oh, it'd be great.
I would give anything to just get my shit together, clean everything, work out, and then be able to stop. It would just, I feel like I would do so well.
Meth makes you concentrate?
Meth makes you, well, it's
I
amphetamines.
thought Adderall. Well, you can just take Adderall.
It's the same thing. I mean, chemically in your brain, they're both amphetamines. So, I mean, I guess I could go to Adderall if I want to waste my money.
I liked Adderall when I used to take it in college.
I've never taken uppers of any kind.
Yeah.
Adderall in the gym is amazing.
Yeah, Adderall it was really effective if you don't abuse it. It's very.
I did take Stacker once to go to the gym.
Stacker,
and Stacker, remember
the
that
diet supplement?
Yeah, remember those? They're energy pills though. They're diet pills, but they're really amphetamines.
Yeah.
And I took it, and I was like, I took half of the dosage, and I worked out. I was like, I thought I would be more energetic. Instead, I was like, I'm literally stronger. I'm literally lifting more than I'm supposed to be able to because of this. And then my mom tried it. She was like, you can't take them. I took it. It was so much. And I'm like, how much did you take? She goes, I took what the dose says. I'm like, oh, Mom, you can't take the dose. I took a quarter of the dose.
Nice.
How much was she able to lift?
Yeah. Yeah,
I took Adderall once by accident, and it was I was up for 2 days, and I would never Like, it was horrible.
It messes with your sleep, and you can't have sex on it.
Really?
Yeah, it messes
can't
with
get
your
erections.
vascular system, so it messes with the blood flow.
I used to take it in college and drink a lot. Well, I take it to study and then I drink
Yeah,
it.
that's bad.
It's basically cocaine because I've never. I've
no,
done both, and it's
friend,
basically cocaine.
Yeah, I have friends who have told me that.
Actually, Adderall's more effective because it lasts longer. Cocaine, like, it lasts and you have to get more, but Adderall just like a straight. What is it, like 6 hours, however long?
That's which is more like meth, yeah.
And yeah, you can't sleep. I would be up to like 7, 8 in the morning.
Booze, weed, nothing else has any effect. It cancels out any other substance you put into your
absolutely.
body.
You don't even notice how much you're drinking because I mean, I had like 8 shots. You don't even feel it because just how strong.
I have
it
at
is.
different times in my life thought I should just finally take Adderall for like some kind of job, and I never did.
But when you just take it and like studying, I mean, I could finish like 100 pages easily. I mean, it is effective if you use it right, but I feel like people don't use it right.
Yeah, all I know is that I don't think I should do uppers. I don't think I should do cocaine.
My roommate walked in on me painting and writing at the same time.
That's weird.
Like, that's basically, like, I didn't know
What
that
were you painting?
I was doing watercolor.
Nice.
But, like, so I didn't know that I had taken Adderall. I was at a party and a shelf dropped in my head, and I don't, like, have, like, Tylenol or Advil or anything like that. So I went to my friend's dorm room that was basically like a pharmacy. It had, like, everything. And I was like, oh, can I, like, take an Advil? And he's like, yeah, and that bottle was empty. So then I went to the Aleve bottle, but, like, I had never seen what the pills look like. So I just took, like, 2.
Oh, damn.
And
Yeah.
so,
you took 2.
That's
yeah.
a lot.
And so
Damn.
then, like, you know, I went back to my dorm room, and then I'm like, I can't sleep. And I, like, walked around campus, and, like, I'm like, I still can't sleep. And then I just started, like, writing and painting. And so, like, I'm like, writing with my right hand and painting with my left hand. And, like, my roommate comes in. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm writing and I'm painting. Like, what does it look like I'm doing? And then she's just like, what are you on? I'm like, nothing. And then she, like, literally, she's like, no, you're on something. And then she's like,
You didn't realize you were on something?
no, I had no idea. Because, like, I thought I just took an Aleve. And so
I just thought I became my true self. I finally became the woman I was supposed to be.
So, like, she, like, literally made me walk her around campus to everywhere I'd been. I'm like, well, I went to this party, and I had a beer here, and then I went to there, and then I was at this party, and that's when the shelf hit my head, and then I went over to Mount
This
Washington.
drug dealer I know,
And so,
I
like-
stole some pills in a bottle.
You're
So-
being extremely productive. What's wrong?
Yeah. And so then he's just like, oh, no, she took Advil. I'm like, no, I didn't take Advil. I took Aleve because, like, the Advil bottle was empty. He's like, fuck. And then she's like, what's wrong? She's like, how many did you take? I'm like, 2. He's like, fuck. And then she's like, what? And he's like, she just took 2 12-hour Ritalins. And she's like, and she's half my size. And I, like, literally was up for, like, 48 hours.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
But I
Oh, yeah.
never did it
You
again.
stay up till the sun comes up and like don't even feel it.
Like, there was no sleeping. Like, it wasn't. I couldn't even try.
2 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's exactly the dream I want to do. I just want to be able to get everything I need done in one
I wouldn't even
span
know
of
where to
being
get
awake.
Adderall anymore. I don't even like outside. I mean, on when you're on campus, obviously it's easier. I won't even know who has it.
Yeah, it's really hard to get your drugs once you leave college.
Yeah. What
It's
the
really,
fuck?
really becomes
You guys
a
can
different world.
talk. I know people.
I mean, so do I. But that's the problem with weed becoming legal. I used to be able to get anything
Yeah.
because like you used to be able to see your weed dealer and be like, hey, you got any mushrooms on you? What do you got on you? Like they just had everything. Now it's like a respectable business.
Yeah.
Now it's really
It helps
hard.
economies now.
It's really hard to get coke at a dispensary in L.A. And I've asked every single one. But I mean, that's. Do you think like have you? Neither of you guys have been to like one of those legal dispensaries, right?
Yeah, I've been to one.
Oh, they're so awesome.
They're great. I went to the one in Washington, and where it's not as crazy.
Washington
like,
State, or
yeah,
DC?
Washington State.
Yeah.
Like the edibles are kind of limited, and like this was before they did a crazy overgrow.
Yeah.
Like you go to Seattle now, you can get an ounce for $60.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I remember like in LA where they had like thousands. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it was just anyone who could have one. And then people were really mad because they reduced it down to only 130, which I know they went back on that anyway. But at one point they're like, there's only going to be 130 dispensaries in Los Angeles now. And people were upset. And I was like, are there 130 7-Elevens in Los Angeles? Like that's a lot of fucking weed stores for one big city.
Yeah, it is.
That's like it's like when they arrested that many. Remember that was like how many Catholic priests in Boston were arrested for molesting kids.
Yeah.
It was more than I would have assumed were priests in Boston.
Like, what are the requirements to, like, buy weed in a dispensary
You
in
gotta
LA?
love to party.
Yeah.
You gotta have $40
at least,
and you have to be cool.
Yeah.
You have to know when to wink back. Oh no, let me tell you exactly how it goes. You go to a doctor with quotations on the word doctor on the sign. You go to a guy and you talk to some guy whose only job is to give weed prescriptions. You say to him, I would like weed. And he says, all right, here's a piece of paper with the number of diseases that will allow you to have it.
Oh, is this real? This actually happened?
Yes. Please circle the one you have, and I will give you the certificate for $60.
Nice.
That is really what's happening.
Well, now it's even beyond because now it's fully recreational, so you can just walk into any store. You don't even need that anymore.
Yes, but you have to pay taxes on those.
Oh.
So some people still want their medical card.
Oh, so you did the math beforehand, so you're smart.
Right. Well, I left LA before it became legal, so I haven't. I've only been there once since then, which is pretty awesome. Because before that, I forgot to keep my license when I left LA, so I could still go to the dispensaries. I should have done that. But I didn't. And I mean, the thing in LA is like there's so many that like I would never ever go to the same one twice because you get a first time gift.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just good they're there because weed, it's such a wide spectrum, and it's important to have people who like explain the strains, explain the edibles. My buddies, they run a business. They make these interactive tables at dispensaries. So you put the weed down and then like it pops up telling you what the effects are, what you're going to feel, what it's good for.
I went to a cannabis cup in Long Beach, which is like the thing they would do in Amsterdam, but like they do a much shittier version where it's just all the local weed vendors like setting up their stands. And I went there because I had free tickets, and people were paying like $40 for this. And the whole idea is that like in Denver, it was great. People were giving out edibles and giving out bong hits and giving out all like pipes and stuff. I was like, oh, cool. I'll just go around and see what I can get. And I was very dismayed to find out that every single stand, everyone was giving away one thing: dabs. They were only giving away, and dabs, of course, are where you superheat marijuana wax, and they do it like a bong hit, and it's like way stronger than normal weed. And I was like, I feel bad for the fact that all the people who spent money to come here are now just trying to do as many dabs as they can for their money's worth. Like people are gonna, there's no lethal dosage, but they're trying to figure one out.
Yeah.
A lot of people left after 20 minutes.
I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? Just stay there for hours just getting dabbed out of your freaking skull? Yeah. And, of course, they were all waiting because Afro Man was playing at the end of the night. And this was like a week before he punched that lady.
Nice.
I remember, so I saw Afro Man, and then a few days later, he was on video punching a woman for getting on stage.
Oh, I didn't even know he was a New Jersey cop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, Afro Man sucks. But yeah, that's the Cannabis Cup, guys.
What's your beef with Afro Man?
He punched that lady.
Okay.
Also, his music sucks.
I like the "Got High" song. I think it's very good.
Oh, really? Which songs do you like less than that by him?
I don't know. I know.
Like any of us have ever heard another song from Afro Man.
Now, does he have Cold 45? Isn't that his? Am I wrong?
Yeah, that is him.
That's good too.
You could say literally any three words together. I would not know whether or not it's an Afro Man song. You said Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I'd be like, yeah, maybe.
It's his best one. That's
so it's like are dabs like hash? I don't really understand.
They're above hash. Dabs are wax. So basically, marijuana can be maximum, say, 25-30% THC. Hash can be about double that. Wax gets up to like 90%. It's like Breaking Bad. It's like it's nice. Literal wax. It's like distilling just the THC from the weed, and it's way fucking stronger. Oh. It is. And like it's ridiculous how it feels like a nitrous hit.
Okay.
Yeah, dabs are a lot, and look, there is a downside of it.
With the nitrous, so you just get the Wawas though.
Wait, what?
With the nitrous, you just get the Wawas.
Yeah, you get that, but like I'm just saying, dabs are strong. Dabs are really friggin' strong, and I mean, I've heard about people doing like amounts of edibles that are off the charts too. Like as a pothead, I want to let these kids know no one should smoke more than I choose to. No, the amount that anyone should do is that no one should do is whatever I think is too much for me, because I've heard kids taking like 700 milligram edibles.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. 200 is life changing.
Yeah, 200, like, you're going to sleep for 12 hours.
Yes, I did. I did by accident once, and I did sleep for 12 hours.
I mean, I smoke multiple times a day. I've done it for years, and, like, a 50-milligram edible will destroy me.
Yeah.
700?
Yeah, I've seen people talk about doing that much, and I'm just like, you're not getting anything out of this. Also, you're not going to, how many days of wasted, like, the next day you're a corpse when you do that much, and, like, when you do, like, a third of that.
Do you know any, like, teenage potheads right now?
Yeah, sort of.
Like teenagers.
I mean, I have family members. So I
have family members I'm talking about. But the level of like a substance abuse in the younger generation is truly staggering. Like they're crushing up Xanax to put on dabs, and like that's a normal thing to do.
Yeah, everyone's trying to like one up each other. There's a real brinksmanship with drug use, and it's like we have a society where like there's so many different ways that lack of restraint is being shown, where like it's the same thing with politics, how like you only get attention for being the screechiest voice. It kind of carries over everywhere. Kids are just trying to figure out ways of doing things bigger.
I knew someone that was freebasing Ritalin.
Freebasing, so like lighting it and then
smoking it.
I mean, if it works, I guess. I don't know. I knew kids who I remember people who were smoking mushrooms. I don't even know if that worked.
Whoa.
I mean, should it work? I don't know.
It doesn't make sense because usually mushrooms are
like a tea, right?
Yeah. But I mean, they were just smoking the literal mushrooms.
Do you think it's a bad idea? My sister and I, we want to do mushrooms with our mom on her birthday. You think that'll be bad?
Wait, you and your sister want to do mushrooms with your mom?
Yeah, my mom like brought it up and was like, yeah, let's do it. We're going to be at some cottage.
You know what's crazy about that? I literally have a script where that happens, where a brother and sister trick their mom into doing mushrooms with them because they're trying to like, they're trying to affect change in her life, and they're trying to get her to accidentally have an epiphany. And then we just do a bunch of jokes about her being naked.
Is it a happy ending?
Yeah, she does jerk him off.
Okay, cool. I'll do it then.
Nice. No, that's not a bad idea. Does your mom want to do mushrooms with you?
Yeah, she does. Like and it's like the right environment. We're gonna be on a little cottage like on Lake Huron in Michigan. I live here, so we don't hang out all the time. And my sister, like, she's wild, you know, like she's lived in like abandoned warehouses her whole life, and like now she's got her shit together. So have a good time with mom.
I have a friend who might get married, and he's talking about like making everyone do mushrooms for the bachelor party. That's a big ask to like make everyone like get high, that kind of high with you.
I did that. When I was supposed to get married, like the weekend of the wedding, me and all my buddies, we went out to like Mount Rainier National Park, and all these like straight-laced guys, like we all did mushrooms, and they're like, this was the best day of my life. I can never do it again.
That's what when I do mushrooms, that's exactly what I'm feeling. I'll have that like, I can never do this again. Like you're enjoying it. You actually get sort of scared in the moment because you're enjoying it so much. You're like, am I going to be able to go back to real life? That's the moment. That's the feeling I had when I was tripping. I was like, oh my God, what if I go back to my real life and I need it and I can never go back to being normal again? What if I need to feel this way all the time? And then as soon as it wears off, you're like, I am never doing that again. I never wanted to go through that again. So you're like, oh, thank God I am normal. I didn't because I know people who have gotten way too into hallucinogens, and it does not have a positive effect on them. I mean, I'm talking about, you would think they become more like hippies. They kind of don't. The friends I had who did a lot of acid ended up becoming like much more like crotchety people, like people who kind of didn't have patience for anything anymore, which I know is a very weird thing in the experience I had with these guys. But I mean, every time I've known someone who did like a lot of mushrooms, it went bad and they became harder to deal with people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing hallucinogens more than like once every 3 months, I think it's like pretty scary.
I mean,
microdosing is like something that's becoming pretty popular.
Yeah, that is also pretty insane.
What exactly is a microdose?
Just take a little bit. I did it with
a little bit of mushrooms every day. But like,
isn't that supposed to help with depression or something?
A little bit, and it's like kind of coming from the tech industry. Actually, a lot of like techies, they'll take just a little bit of acid every day and they'll code.
That's fucking crazy.
But there's a mythology because like people discovered how the human genome was designed while they were tripping on LSD.
That's how they figured out the double helix thing.
Yeah,
they finally visualized it. I mean, that makes sense. There are people who theorize that a lot of human development came out of people just stumbling on mushrooms.
Didn't the Beatles write a lot of their music on LSD?
Yeah.
Their biggest, debatable. You know what though? Their biggest songs were before Were like their biggest, like most respectable songs the ones before they were on a bunch of acid? I can't really answer that. I'm not a huge Beatles guy, but like I've heard people say that before. That like, oh no, their early stuff that was like Sgt. Pepper was actually they were sober, and it was like later stuff where they were just like Yellow. I don't know what Yellow Submarine was on, but I've heard people talk about that's what happens when they do too much acid. Yeah, they do Yellow Submarine. They let Ringo make songs. Because Ringo wrote Yellow Submarine.
Oh, okay.
That's how you know when they were at their highest.
And George Harrison is the closest to an acid musician if you look at their solo careers.
Yeah. George Harrison, what was his big solo song?
My Sweet Lord.
Didn't he have a song? Didn't he have like a really poppy 80s song?
Is I Got My Mind Set on You, George
yes,
Harrison?
Yes. I was because you know what I couldn't think of it because I was thinking of the Weird Al version. The song is just 6 words long. I listened to Weird Al as a kid, but none of the songs that he was basing his parodies on, which is just unhealthy.
Yeah.
I became an insufferable child, just loving because I was loving them for the music. I was a Weird Al fan for the music, not the parody, which is I deserved everything kids did to me. Because I was listening to Lasagna and just being like, this is a great fucking song. I don't know what it's based on, but this is just musically great.
Well, he is taking like the catchiest songs in the country.
Yeah. He was kind of great at it, though. You got to give it to him.
Oh, he's awesome.
You're like, Eat It is amazing.
It is. It's a great friggin' song, and it's sung by someone who never raped any kids, so I can actually enjoy it.
And he has his own original tracks, too. Like, Albuquerque's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that one.
Me neither.
He did that. He has one song from that's like, it's not really a parody of a song, but it's just in the style of Devo.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because the guy from Devo was in an interview, and he was like, you spend your whole life, you agonize about trying to develop a sound that matches what you make, and every time you make a new song that matches that sound, it's like a piece of your soul, and then Weird Al comes along and does a perfect fucking version of it in 5 minutes. And he was like really mad, like, I can't believe this guy did such a good job of copying and making an original song in our style.
I mean, like, musical impressionists exist too. You can just take other people's sound.
No, it is funny that there's anyone besides Weird Al making parody songs, because it's like, you shouldn't be allowed to do this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, who does?
There's people out there
that are as famous as Weird
Al?
No,
there's people trying to become as famous, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, song parodies, it's an industry that should really only sustain one house. Like, one career. That's enough. We should not have a song parody industry. And when Weird Al dies, no one should ever be allowed to do them again.
Yeah, and
somebody's got to be in the wings to take his spot.
No. Once Weird Al dies, you should only be allowed to make parodies of Weird Al songs.
Yeah.
That would be fair.
That's true.
He just dropped a new one yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, This Is My Haircut.
Is that true?
Yeah.
What's
This Is America?
Oh, good God. Well, I saw the other parody of This Is America from that YouTube chick.
Oh, God.
Which one?
Is her name Nicole Arbor?
Yeah.
She is the worst comedian who has ever lived. I was actually on a radio show with her once, and I didn't really know who she was. All I knew was it was right when she first got famous for fat shaming, and what was making me mad was I looked her up, and I was like, this woman is not a famous YouTuber. I had more YouTube hits than her when she first made that video, but then the fat shaming made her popular with toxic, horrible people, and she became a professional YouTube person. That's what's wrong with this fucking country. She became successful by being a bad person.
Yeah.
And then she did her This Is America parody, just completely missing the point. She is the unfunniest human being I've ever seen. Her YouTube is basically just rehashing 80s jokes. In like long form, as if it's a conversation.
Like what? Like what do you mean?
And she also called herself like the world's hottest comedian, and it's like, honey, I can rattle off several. April Macy puts you in a.
She's
grave.
obviously never met Joel before.
Yeah, I'd take issue with that.
Like she thought she was like the hottest chick comedian, and I'm like, dude, there are so many women hotter than you in comedy. You just don't go to comedy shows. You don't know anything about this industry.
It's frustrating.
No, I can't off the top of my head. I can just tell you that when she did the fat shaming video, it was like strung together 80s jokes.
Yeah.
Like all like the most obvious things you've all heard at open mics before. But if you're on YouTube and you're 10 years old and you've never been to a comedy show, these might seem like new ideas to you.
Well, that's like how we were talking about like how like you're like, oh, I don't know how this joke landed, like it's so hacky, but like how we were saying, like for regular people it's not. Like comics hear things differently. We hear things, we're used to it at mics and stuff, and regular people,
that's why I say to people, like, it wouldn't be hacky if it didn't work.
Yeah.
It would just be a bad joke. It's hacky because it works and you're not supposed to use it.
Yeah.
And like we all roast battle here.
Yeah.
As every single guest I get on this show, because they're the only people I choose to interact with.
Nice.
I don't roast battle.
You should.
I'm sorry, I meant you're the host of the show. So like we, as in like the underlings.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You're also a host.
yeah, but it's your show. I mean, you're the one who paid for the opening.
$350. That's my guess for the song.
If
Without
that's
hearing
what
it?
you, if
I
that's
was
what
gonna
you
say
paid,
200.
if you paid more than $30 for that song, I'm gonna slit my throat.
200.
No, I'm gonna say right now it had to be under $100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, this wasn't like a big, complicated song. I appreciate Nigel and his work. I think he did a great job, but I would not want to spend hundreds of dollars on an intro like that.
Nice.
I forgot what I was talking about.
The fat shaming, 80s jokes, roast people.
Oh yeah, bad jokes. So in roast battle, how mad do you have to get mad when like a joke that
I've heard it before
shouldn't work?
Yeah, yeah.
It's one thing to have a joke that you've used before, and then you see a lot of people like like there's a certain roast battle in LA that a lot of people talk. He basically just rearranges other jokes.
Like how I can't tell you, like how many times have you heard like Holocaust shower jokes? Like 100 times. They always work though. Like just different wording.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's like
sometimes there's a better way of doing them.
Yeah.
Like I did a hacky joke last night when me and Joel had a roast battle last night. When this comes out, look it up online. We were both great. It was a great night. But I did a joke that I was like, it's kind of hacky, but I felt like the way I got to it made up for it. Which was the joke about how because in Joel's case, Joel accidentally converted to Islam. And I said, apparently if you bomb enough times in Manhattan, you just count.
Yeah.
Because bombing, using the bombing in that way is hacky, but I felt like that was at least a newer way of doing it.
Yeah.
So that's why I made it okay. Because, it wasn't a joke you've heard before because no one else has ever had such a perfect setup for that joke.
Yeah.
We should tell the story real quick if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. About the converting to Islam?
Yeah. It's a very funny story.
Well, it was my first girlfriend. I grew up in Dearborn, Michigan. It's the most Muslim city in the country. And like,
by the way, cut roast joke. Dearborn also describes the parasites that cause your brain damage.
Come on, that's so fun.
They would have been over their heads.
But like even back to the 1,500 missing kids, odds are there's a ton of them in Dearborn. But
nice.
It's the most Muslim city in the country. My first girlfriend was Muslim, so we dated without her parents knowing for 2 years. And before I was going to go out to school in L.A., she says, hey, just follow me. Tell this guy you care about me. And then for the rest of the summer, my parents won't bother us. And I repeated what this guy said. It was in Arabic, so I didn't know what I meant. So we left there, and I got home, and her mom had taken off her hijab. And they welcomed me to the family because I had converted to Islam.
That's why she was able to take off her hijab for you.
I was in the
you
family
were a family
now.
member
Nice.
But the terrible thing is, like, I threw a party at my mom's house. I threw a drunk spelling bee. And my mom knew I was going to throw a party. I threw it out anyway. And she kicked me out. So I had to live a summer as this family's Muslim son.
Oh, and you had to go. So you had to actually pretend to be Muslim for the whole summer, basically.
It was like lax, but like I couldn't eat pork or anything.
Right.
Are you
like,
a pork guy? Are you?
No, not really.
I am. Okay. Oh God, I miss pork.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. And so she knew she was tricking you into becoming Muslim.
Yeah, kind
She
of. But
had
like
to
she
have.
was just someone.
But she was all like, "Who cares?"
Yeah.
Well, she wanted to be with him also. I mean, that was the only way. I mean,
And like I was moving across the country. It was like her Hail Mary.
Was there any way that like was there a thing where she's just like, just have a crucifix in your pocket? It doesn't count. But yeah, no, that is kind of nuts because like it's not exactly a religion you can half-ass. Like you're supposed to pray 5 times a day.
Yeah, 5 times.
but there are Muslims who half-ass it.
I mean,
There's a
and good
bunch,
for
yeah.
them. You know, any secular Muslim, I'll respect you for, I respect anyone who abandons their religion in general.
Yeah.
And it's not just the prayer. You got to wash your genitals before you pray every
Oh
time.
my, really?
Yeah, if you go to a Muslim house, you know how there's like a dishwasher handle at your sink in the
Yeah.
kitchen? There's that on every toilet in a Muslim
Nice.
house so people can clean their shit.
You're telling me that Muslims have to wash their genitals 5 times a day?
Absolutely.
I only
You
ask
probably
that
have
because,
clean balls.
good God, is that the opposite of what every Trump supporter thinks about Islam?
Yeah.
That is definitely the diametric opposite if you had to ask a Trump supporter to describe Islam. Wow. Did you guys see that? Oh, we talked about that
Did
video.
you feel like you would clean your testicles as a result?
I didn't actually practice. I never
you
prayed.
didn't?
No.
Oh.
I didn't.
Well, good for you. I mean,
I thought maybe you
I'm
did.
glad you didn't wash your balls once.
Yeah.
Living in that house. By the way, speaking of washing your balls, did you see that plane where they had to land the plane because the guy smelled so bad?
Yes.
No.
I heard that.
This was a story.
Where is this?
Netherlands, I believe.
Nice.
I believe it was a Dutch flight.
It's possible.
It was either from or to the
Yeah.
Netherlands, and they had to land. They had to make an emergency landing because people were vomiting over how bad this one guy smelled. And the
Was
article,
there a reason he smelled? Or you just
they
did?
said the article said he was described as smelling like he had not bathed in a very long time.
Okay.
And he's on a plane. And first of all, that is very rude, especially because we all complain about how people used to dress up for planes.
Yeah.
People used to put on suits. Now you walk around in your flip-flops and your sweatpants. You're in the sky like gods, and you don't respect it.
Yeah.
But no, like, I honestly liked this story because this is one of those things where it's like, I want that man to know how much we hate him.
Yeah.
Because like there are so many people like that who like will not care about how they affect their environment, and it's like they all need to have a plane land because of how disgusting you are.
But I also feel like that's just those people just being pussies. Because
They
how
were
many
they were
times?
literally vomiting.
How many times have you gotten into like a subway car in the city and it like there's like a homeless person that smells like madness? Like I have allergies, so like I'm always the one that like I get super psyched that I'm about to get into a subway car with a seat. Everybody starts jumping off the car and I'm like, oh, I wonder why. And then as soon as the doors close, that's when I'm, oh shit.
Yeah.
The fact is, it's like if you get on a plane, you know that you're a mess. You know that you smell bad. It's an aggressive act against your environment. I think that
They probably don't even smell themselves anymore.
Oh, they definitely don't. But they know they smell bad because everyone hates them. And there's no way they interact with normal people who aren't like horrified by them. I read this article that someone posted about how you're not supposed to shower. And
Ever?
Yes. The guy was saying that like it's unhealthy to shower. You're losing the horny layer of your skin, which is like this oil layer people have. That's like true. You shouldn't overshower. But the part that made me sick was where the guy said, he goes, what people don't understand is what you think of as body odor is actually your body rejecting your cleanliness. And that you would not have body odor if you stop showering. And the guy said, he goes, what actually happens is when you stop showering, at first the body odor builds up, but then after about 2 weeks, you stop smelling at all. And it's like,
No, you just got accustomed to your own funk.
yes, you fucking idiot. You stopped smelling it.
I think it's safe to assume this guy is probably pretty smelly, I would imagine. I mean,
Yes.
unless he's a giant hypocrite. He's either smelly or a hypocrite.
Excellent point, James.
Yeah, but it's cool that someone can hijack a plane without anyone getting hurt.
That is true. Good for him. Good for him. And obviously he's not Muslim because otherwise he'd have washed his balls.
Yeah.
So this guy is something else. But, I mean, we've all known people like that where you
Yeah.
can smell their balls.
Oh, absolutely. You know what the worst thing is?
It's wrong. It's morally wrong.
Have you guys ever smelled a tonsil stone before?
No,
It's
I've
bad.
heard about
I've
that.
had
I don't know about-
tonsillitis.
I've
It's
heard all
bad,
about
yeah.
that.
No,
Yeah.
certain people, if they have like respiratory problems, they have like this.
I have smelled it, yeah.
They have this like drip that comes down the back of their throat and it forms into this hard, small
Smell.
stone. That's the worst smelling thing you'll ever encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hung out with a lot of punks, so I know like a lot of crust punks just don't shower as like an act of defiance, and it really it does bother me because it's like you're now causing us less happiness. Like I have a friend, she's really really smart. She's like Ivy League education, and she doesn't shower, and it's like a
Like ever?
mostly
I'm gonna guess brown.
but it's kind of a thing where she's like, no, it's because I shouldn't. It's about agency and about not letting other people control my body. And it's like, and her mom kicked her out because of how bad she smelled. And she was like, well, my mom doesn't have the right to tell me what to do with my body. I'm like, yeah, but your mom also has a right to not live in a house that is offensively bad smelling. And it's also that your mom wants you to survive.
Does she have like a
when
mental illness?
No, she's just a really oddly stubborn person. And it's like, your mom also wants you to survive.
Yeah.
And your mom is saying, my daughter will die in the street if she chooses to smell like this, which is kind of a valid point. And she's like, well, no, because my professor smells really bad. I'm like, you can't just find one person who smells bad and then say that's why I'm definitely going to be okay not showering the rest of my life.
Yeah, and professors achieve a rank where they can't be fired, so they can do that.
Tenure, yeah.
If you have tenure, go ahead.
That was literally her argument. She was like, my professor has a tattoo on his face and tenure, so therefore, it's like that's a very narrow market you're locking yourself into.
So I'm going to throw one more news topic at us before we start wrapping up. But did you guys hear about this lawmaker in South Dakota that right after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the cake maker, saying that he didn't have to make the cake because
the gay wedding cake,
that he didn't have to make the gay wedding cake, that this lawmaker in South Dakota said that he believes that business owners should be able to turn away people of color if they don't want their business.
Well, it's certainly not surprising he's saying that. And it's very easy to say that in South Dakota, where the black people are named Bill and Tommy. That is all the black people
Uncle
in South
Tommy.
Dakota.
Yeah, there's probably 6 black people.
Yeah, it's easy to make that statement when it will always be a theoretical.
I would love to see someone in Chicago try to... But no, this is, once again, this is exactly what you get off Trump. You get celebration of being toxic.
Right.
That's the thing, because these people have always existed. It's like you just said, it's just a celebration now. It's like...
Right. Trump saw an opportunity in this country and said there are millions of people that no politician will lower himself to championing. He said all these racists out there, even the Republicans won't champion them. I can get all of them on my side, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And turning people away for any reason is against your own self-interest. So
right, like how do you call yourself a capitalist if if you're just like, well, something, I don't like the color of your skin, so your money's not green enough for me.
Well, I mean, these people really want to reverse the culture war. These are people who probably are against the general civil rights movement. These are don't forget, we are 50 years away. We are 60 years removed from George Wallace running for president and getting millions of votes. George Wallace was the Dixiecrat who was
He's a segregationist.
the segregationist who wanted the police to start shooting National Guardsmen to prevent desegregation. And this guy could have become president. Yeah. We are not that far off from a society that has no problem just treating black people like animals. Yeah. And it's not even about racism. It's about it is about racism, but the core of it is just about these tribalistic children who just see themselves as losing something every time anyone who isn't them in the mirror gets something.
Yeah.
I mean, when people talk about white people losing things, what do they mean? I honestly don't know what they mean. Did you ever see that documentary they did about when Obama was running and Nancy Pelosi's daughter, the filmmaker?
Alexandra Pelosi.
Yeah, thank you. She went around talking to these Trump supporters and asking them why they hate Obama so much. And 100% of the people she talked to would say something at some point that was just false, delusional. Yeah. One guy, he's crying. He's literally weeping about America treating him badly. And then they said, what are you crying about? And he's like, well, I live in this country and I'm poor and the government and no one gives me anything. But then a Mexican comes here, he gets all this free stuff. It's do you actually believe that there are social services that are given to illegal immigrants that are not given to citizens? Yeah. What are you talking about? You can be on the same are you on welfare? Are you on food stamps?
But I think
why aren't you?
I think it also just makes people feel better about their own misfortunes. It's if I could blame it on this person, then they just feel
that's why they hate
it's not
white
their
privilege.
fault.
That's why white privilege pisses them off so much. Because you're saying that if you're not a successful white man, it means it's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't it though? Because we live in a system that literally was set up for the success of white people, particularly white men, because white women, when the country began, couldn't own property or et cetera, which, there's still, I'd say that there's still privilege in being a white woman, but not as much privilege as being a white man. But really, if you were living in a system, your family has benefited from living in a system that has always been in your favor, and you are failing, then maybe you are fucked up.
Well, no, because in a capitalist world, you're still going to have a majority of people not in power, and even white people who are going to have more opportunity are still going to, by and large, not be the wealthy people of the country.
Right, but you had the opportunity. You just either squandered it or just, didn't grasp it, or you're like this is the thing that I just don't understand, is because even just from ancestral wealth, for instance, you have white families that are able to pass down a house from generation to generation to generation, and that money stays within your family, whereas most people of color, they don't have a home that they can pass down from generation to generation.
What I'm saying is that just because there is more opportunity in being white does not mean that every white person really has the chance to be rich if he works hard.
Yeah.
He has more of a chance. He doesn't.
Otherwise, otherwise what would it be, like 75-80% of the country would be wealthy if that was the case.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
wouldn't
just
make
not
any
possible.
sense.
This news story comes from South Dakota, a place where its economy is based in a large part on farming, and the farming industry has been decimated over the past few decades.
By factory farming. And they blame immigrants when it's not even the immigrants.
Yeah, no, it's the big corporate monolith that's really the evil behind a lot of these things.
Same thing with every other factory.
Yeah.
There's no illegal immigrants taking money from factory workers. The machines are taking money from factory workers.
Or they're outsourcing them.
Even people being harassed by the police. That's because there's prisons that need to be filled. And I think these white people are isolated. They've not put themselves in other shoes, and it is probably harder to be a white person in that part of the world, but it's hard to be a person in general in America with the way jobs are going.
But I still think that would be easier to be a white person in South Dakota than being a black person in South Dakota.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he missed. I don't think he meant. I see what you heard him say. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he's saying that even white people, it's just hard to be a person, even if you're white.
Yeah,
in those parts of the
world. It's a large group of people coming to terms with struggling for the first time, and they're trying to put it in context, and they're idiotically picking a victim.
And that's exactly it. They want a victim. They also want someone to blame. And white people in America who voted for Trump are people who wanted someone specifically to blame for the fact that the economy is simply changing. And they can't blame the real reason, which is the future. Yeah. Technology. There are not going to be jobs for everyone forever. It's just impossible. We're going to have to eventually be a Star Trek world where everyone just gets provided for because only a certain number of people will even have jobs. And they need it to be Obama's fault. They need it to be someone's fault because they can't think on that level.
Why
it's
is
too
it
depressing.
Not like Bill Gates' fault, or why is it not like a rich white person's fault?
Well, Bill Gates is making jobs. Bill Gates isn't hurting anyone. He's actually
I'm just trying to put if you just take a wealthy white person or a wealthy class. I'll even say that this is a raceless wealthy class. The reason why technology is advancing is really kind of, and I know I keep going back to incels, it's the beta males that are trying to get a level playing field with the alpha males, because when we were back in a hunter-gatherer society, the alpha male was king because he was the fastest, he was the strongest, he was the best hunter.
If you were the guy who wasn't fast, but you invented that bow and arrow, you were a fucking super.
Then you became an alpha, which is basically what happened to the economy, is that we moved away from anything that was manual labor driven, because you had these betas that were like, well, why should these guys make all the money because they're big and strong? I can make a machine that can do that guy's job, and then I'll make the money, and he's not making the money. This is just basically what happened to our economy.
I think that's a little oversimplified, but go on, Jill.
Well, I think it's just like there aren't a lot of manufacturing, farming, very basic jobs. Being a Detroiter, everyone in my family, they made $75,000 a year working on an assembly line. That doesn't exist anymore. So now we're looking at the population has tripled. That just dilutes anyone's place in the world.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought.
No, they want to blame someone, and there's no one to blame, because the blame is that it's not the same year it used to be. That's all it is. And all these, we did not lose factory jobs to India. We lost factory jobs to machines that do them better. And if we didn't use those machines, we would get crushed by the countries that did. That's the problem.
Yeah, not making anything. The economy now is just like who can develop the most streamlined form of communication.
Service, yeah.
It's a service industry or a tech industry. If you're not,
we would be the very idea of Trump trying to say we're going to bring back coal. Everyone makes the same point about it's like saying we're going to bring back Blockbuster. It's like saying we're going to bring
horse-drawn
back
carriages
anything that
or
does
whatever.
not exist anymore. You would have, what, 10, 20 years of the economy being a little bit better, and then what's going to happen? You are going to be North Korea. You're going to be behind everyone else in the world. Imagine... Okay, right now Trump took away. We were going to all switch to electric cars. There was all the car companies were on board within 10 years. We're going to all be hybrids. It was great. It was one of the most positive things that ever happened in the environment. And Trump just said, "I hate the environment. I don't want this gay crap of people not having cars." And guess what's going to happen? Right now, most of the cars in Brazil are running on friggin' sugar. They're not using gas. If you don't fix that immediately, you're going to have a situation real soon where American refugees are going to Brazil. Because if you try to avoid the future will steamroll you. That's the thing that's the thing with like driverless cars. We're going to put off driverless cars for a long time, as we should, because they're going to put a lot of people out of work, and they're going to be better for the environment if they're not electric. But there's going to come a day where the country where people are still driving is going to be at a huge disadvantage to the country where everyone's in like friggin' Jetsons cars.
Yeah, it was so strange. Like the world is so reactionary. Like one person died, and a whole movement that like seemed like the entire economy was behind just got shuttered.
I mean, how many? Yeah, it's
who?
The Uber self-driving car killed someone in Arizona.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing about the self-driving cars is it's going to be really hard to make those on the road because what politician is going to sign off on taking every truck driving job away?
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing for someone to sign. It's going to have to be a very long time until it's to the point where
I can find a way to make money off of it.
I'll tell you exactly when it's going to happen. It's going to happen when every other country doesn't have deaths on the road anymore except for us.
Yeah.
That's going to be the point where people say, okay, we're the only country with car crashes anymore.
I don't know. We're the only country with guns.
I was about to say
but with like the driverless trucks, they said that they would have to keep like a person in the truck because like one for maintenance, like if the truck broke down, they'd also like be a mechanic to be able to fix it. And then like if there was like computer problems or whatever, so like they would keep a
what's
driver
funny?
in the truck.
The real reason you need to have a person in that truck is that the police are not willing to allow cars on the road they can't ticket.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to have a person because the police said you have to have someone that we can punish and we can get money out of by ticketing because they're terrified of the idea of all these driverless cars with no one to make money off of.
Yeah.
So think about that. If the driverless car kills someone, right? Mm-hmm. Who gets sued?
The company that owns the car.
But it's not the same. It's so much, I mean...
Think
of the legal process to doing that, to suing that company as opposed to just a person.
Think about how much more complicated that is.
But
that's what'll have to happen. If a driverless car kills someone, you have to blame whoever was controlling the car.
How did it kill someone?
And then you would have to also say, like, is it the company? Like, let's say that it's a truck. Is it the company that owns the truck? Like, do you also pull in like the company that they were trucking it to?
They're gonna have to make entirely new laws.
Who like repaired the company that repaired the truck or programmed the truck?
Well, like you said, it's going to take a long time. I think for sure
because it also would deprive people of jobs and it's a huge undertaking. But at the end of the day, you can't stand in the way of history. You really can't.
I mean, it's going to be terrifying at first being in a driverless car. It's going to definitely take getting used to, as I'm sure it was with an airplane. I'm sure it was terrifying at first to get in.
The guy who died was one of the testers, because obviously you can't just have them on the market. Yeah. He was testing the car, and he's supposed to be on his own autopilot, and he's supposed to keep his hands on the wheel, so if anything happens, he can react, and he was watching a Harry Potter on a tablet. He was watching a Harry Potter movie on a tablet, and...
What did crash into?
A white van.
With someone in it or no?
It was a truck that was white, so it looked like the sky.
All right, so there's still glitches.
Exactly. It's very hard.
But it doesn't mean you stop investing in it. I mean,
no, but Uber, one of my good friends, is a designer on the self-driving car program at Uber, and he's not anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're letting people go?
Reassigned. And it's a tech company. You won't get fired.
Well, here's the thing. And this was, I believe this was a Tesla. This was the self-driving, because they're the big self-driving ones now.
Yeah, for the trucks.
Real quick, we talked about Tesla, but you know when Elon Musk said that we're not going to release the cheaper Teslas because we'll go out of business? Well, guess what I am? I am one of the people who has been on the list for that cheap fucking Tesla for a year that I was supposed to have gotten it last month, and now it's going to be till next year. And now I have turned a complete corner. I am calling for the arrest of Elon Musk because I hate him so fucking much now. For a while, I didn't understand why people hated him, and then suddenly this happened, and I was like, oh, you are an actual melted alien tyrant. This piece of shit who just told all of us we were going to have $35,000 Teslas with a $7,500 rebate from the government and $25,000 from the state. You were going to get $25,000 Teslas, and none of those are going to exist now.
Did you put money down before
You put $1,000 down, but you can get it back if you want, which I might.
But then you lose your spot in line.
Yes, exactly. I lose my spot in line if I don't want to do it. But, I was so goddamn disgusted with him. He's the guy who wanted to have a website where you get to vote on what's true. You saw that, right?
Oh my gosh.
He said the way to stop fake news is I'll have a website.
The wisdom of the crowd.
And then the people will vote on whether or not something is real, and that way we'll know which journalists are real. As if that wouldn't, and I said, as if that wouldn't immediately lead to, hey, everyone, guess what? Creationism is true again.
Yeah,
how did he think people believed in Pizzagate?
Cigarettes don't cause lung cancer, everybody. Congratulations, we beat it.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. You don't think that fucking Republicans are just going to spam this and they're like, oh, well, we'll have technology. No, you don't need technology. Individual people who listen to Alex Jones will all go on your site and they will vote every piece of real information down.
So it's like if you had polls that dictated laws, basically.
Yeah, what made me so sick about it was he was saying, well, I trust people. No, you don't. You are another con man, fake populist who is trying to tell every person, I think the American people are smart. No, you fucking don't. You goddamn liar. No one thinks the American people are smart. Anyone who says that is the worst one of all of us, because that means you want to manipulate those people.
I think
doesn't
everyone
Trump
in this
say that
stupid.
every rally? Oh, you guys are smart.
Yeah, when he's not
to be fair, that's kind of all politicians say it. I mean,
and
they
have
all
are assholes when they say it.
You have to say it.
It's a gross thing to say because it's bullshit.
Yeah,
but
it's like every town they're in, they're so happy to be in.
None of these people believe they're that smart.
Yeah,
right.
Am I the only one who literally every time I go to a concert I get mad when they say the name of the place we're in?
Yeah.
Is it weird that
I feel
like they say that for the band because they probably don't remember.
I mean, they don't care. But I mean, literally, every time I'm at a show, and every big band does it. Well, they'll be like, so happy to be here in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And I look around, and I'm honestly judging everyone who claps at that. I'm just like, are you really impressed?
Yeah.
Like, you really...
We've got to wrap this up.
Oh, for God's sake.
I was just getting into it.
But before we go, just everyone, where can they find you on social media? What gigs do you have coming up next? I'll start with you, Joel.
Hey, I am the Walkowski on Twitter. I'm Joel Walkowski on Instagram. I'll be at the stand for the Final Roastmasters there on Tuesday the 12th, and then I'll be at Caroline's on June the 19th.
Awesome.
James.
Hey, Twitter is at Pontillo8881. No big shows.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have a show at the Kent Ale House every month. The next one's July 11th.
Good.
At 8:30.
Yeah. That's a good one to go to.
Come out to that.
It's actually a great venue. See me at Dave Cyrus, SIRUS. You can look up me and Joel roast battling. It should be on YouTube by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
And also Marissa. I know I'm on a lot of shows that you booked me on. So that'll probably that probably happened before this aired, so we don't need to talk about them.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at Marissa Smith. Follow this show on Twitter at The Blame Storm. You can catch me on the 16th of June at Greenwich Village Comedy Club with Dave for Fashionably Saturday, and I will be at Boxers, the Upper East Side, for Punch Comedy for Pride. So if you're a prideful person, you can check me out there. And if you enjoyed this show, you guys, rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. We will talk to you soon. Good night.
Thank you.